Welcome to the Less Insurance Dependence Podcast. I'm your host, Lester De Alwis, and the show is dedicated to helping dental professionals build stronger, more profitable practices with less reliance on insurance. So today, I'm honored to welcome Heidi Mount, dental business coach with over 33 years in the dental field and one of the most in-demand voices in the practice profitability. Heidi has worked in offices where 98% of patients accepted treatment plans. She has been featured on the Thriving Dentist show, The Dentistry Uncensored with Dr. Howard Farran, and dozens of other top dental podcasts. Her niche is simple and powerful, showing dentists how to make $500 more a day or on tomorrow's schedule without a single new patient. So today's episode is called Your Schedule is Bleeding Money. Here's how to stop it. We're going to talk about why the revenue dentists need to drop PPOs is already hiding in their schedule and exactly what it takes to stop the leak. So, Heidi, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having us.
So, after 33 years coaching dentists, what's the hidden revenue most practices don't even know they are sitting on?
Exactly. Most dentists are calling me because they're totally frustrated or plateaued. They're working super hard and then the reward just isn't there. But the number one thing I see on established offices, so you've been in business a couple of years, you've established patients or whatever, the number one area that I find is a pot of gold is not reactivating the patients you already have. We always hear about gaining new patients, we need new patients, but it's like when you run reports, the unscheduled list is like over $1 million in most. And I think the lack of follow up is probably the biggest concern, and what staff's going to say is we don't have enough time. We really have to prioritize that to make patients feel cared about.
All right. Is it because the lack of systems in place that we are not looking at the patients, unscheduled patients?
I think for most team members, it would be a priority. So, in other
Mm-hmm.
words, possibly they're checking email and they're just, flying by the seat of their pants, just piles of papers, this, that, calling insurance and doing time waster things. I'm not saying calling
Mm-hmm.
insurance is a time waster, but you have to prioritize your day. If you want to make
Mm-hmm.
$8,000 a day, that means you need to schedule $8,000 a day. So you have to reactivate, track, and make sure that you are filling that schedule to collection goal, not PPO, right? Not adjusted or gross production. And then the adjusted production's a lot less. You're going to collect a lot less. So you've got to have a plan. I usually get visual images of how a schedule should look. So we're
Mm-hmm.
not avoiding where you track the doctor has to be in two places at once, right?
Mm-hmm.
They're not staggering people correctly or scheduling correctly. But we have to make time to schedule a certain amount of patients per day. Some people can call 10 people and schedule $5,000 worth of work. Other people call 50 people and nobody answers the phone. So there is a strategy to make sure we can reach people and schedule to goal in every dental practice. They just kind of need the simple steps or the reports to run or the scripts to say or practice. But, it's all about priorities. A lot of people are just starting off the day where maybe they're doing continuing education, which they do need, but we got to get the phone ringing. So we not only need to make sure they schedule before they leave, but we have to follow up with those patients so they know we care about them and that it's important. Imagine if you send them off to a specialist and then you have something to do, whether it's an implant crown or bridge or something that you do after the perio treatment's done. If we don't make sure they get there, then we can't do our next step. So we have to follow up.
Right. So the money is already there, it's just leaking, I would say. And where does it let's talk about where it goes first. What's the one place on the schedule where dentists lose the most money every single day?
No shows and cancellations, right? Some of this, even when you talk about treatment planning or case acceptance or whatever, sometimes
Mm-hmm.
it's a mindset. It can be a mindset where employees feel like, oh, that patient can't afford it. That patient will only do
Mm-hmm.
what insurance covers. That patient, we've talked to them about the crowns, 14 times, why bother? So sometimes it's an attitude, and we prejudge our patients when you just
Mm-hmm.
never know. It's all about timing. And if you treat your patients equally every single time, where your customer service is consistent, we're really listening to them, we're talking to them about their goals, then they really feel like you care. So I feel like when patients walk out the door or only, talk about insurance, which to me is an excuse, I feel like patients just don't know what to say. So that's the
Mm.
excuse they're giving you when really they probably don't trust you. Or they don't feel like you care. Or maybe the hygienist said, you are losing bone and we need to do periodontal disease. And then you go see the doctor, and then the doctor is saying, oh, you have a perfect amount of thick bone to do an implant. You're a great candidate. And it's like, wait, who do I believe, right? So if we're not all communicating together, we can't be on the same page and earn the trust of our patients.
Exactly, exactly. So let's talk about fixing the issue. So you can diagnose a practice's revenue leaks under 30 minutes. What are you actually looking at?
A lot of it has to do with data entry in the patient's charts, in the notes,
Mm-hmm.
in the schedule. I'm reading everything. I'm looking at codes. I'm looking at fees. I'm looking at lengths of appointments, how their practice management software is programmed. Because the most common thing I see are patients lost in the schedule. We're not only
Mm.
not following up, but we're programming it wrong where they don't even show up on the proper list. And now, how do we follow up when treatment plans aren't being entered correctly? We're over scheduling and wasting time in the schedule. The team has to
Yeah.
understand that every unit of time matters. And so we have to not only document how much time that patient needs, but schedule it appropriately. So let's say we have a patient that the crown is off. They've been missing a crown for a year. They have no
Mm.
opposing tooth. And we schedule them a crown prep for, 90 minutes, let's say. And the
Mm.
patient has a flag on their chart saying they never use anesthetic and the tooth's been root canaled, right? So this tooth literally is going to take the doctor 10 or 15 minutes to fine tune it and get it ready for a crown. We don't need to numb them.
Yeah.
We don't need a temporary. We don't need anything. And yet we're scheduling an hour and a half when that doctor could have made
Yeah.
three more $1,000. So every patient needs to be different. And what I see a lot is every patient's getting an hour appointment. And it
Mm.
doesn't make sense. Some patients need 20 minutes, some need 40, some need an hour and a half. So when you really take action to make that schedule look perfectly, you can maximize your time without running around with your head cut off and being frustrated.
Exactly, exactly. Since we are on this conversation of scheduling, I want to take a moment to thank our sponsors of this show, which is Ekwa Marketing. So the schedule was always the starting point, and once production is consistent, the next question every dentist asks is, how do I attract patients who actually values my care and don't hide behind insurance? That's exactly what Ekwa Marketing helps practices solve. So they offer a complimentary practice growth audit. It's no pitch, no pressure, just a clear plan for attracting the right patients as you move towards independence. Thousands of dental practices have used it to shift their patient mix and build towards a fee-for-service model. So you can book your complimentary session at lessinsurancedependence.com/MSM, and it's complimentary, so make use of it. So Heidi, when a patient says, "I'll wait for my insurance to cover it," is it that an insurance problem or a team verbal skills problem?
Well, it's interesting you say that because I feel like patients shouldn't bring up insurance at all. It's, of course, a communication problem. In the old days, in the 80s and 90s, we used to teach, or even I had consultants teach me how to overcome objections. And I feel like when you're starting, you say one thing and then you say something back. I feel like it turns into like arguing, right? So I
Mm.
think the key is to prevent the objections. When
Mm-hmm.
when team members learn to create value for the service that the patient actually wants, then the insurance is not going to matter. You can say something as simple as, look, your insurance is going to cover cleaning, exams, and x-rays. They've been paying $1,000 a year since 1970. We used to fix a whole mouth and do a whole denture, a whole whatever, all this work for $1,000. Now you can't even fix one tooth. So we just use
Mm-hmm.
that insurance for cleaning, exams, and x-rays. You might have a couple $100 extra to put towards a filling or something, but this is something you need, right? And then you tie
Yeah.
in their medical with it. You tie in their sleep apnea or their bite or the aesthetics. You tie in other emotional needs that they actually want. But I would prevent the objection with the money excuse or the insurance excuse by having better communication with your patients when you're presenting treatment, right? They're not buying the crown, they're buying the
Yeah.
results they get from the crown. So we have to learn how to communicate it in a way that patients actually value spending it on their mouth.
Exactly. Exactly. I think it was all about the communication, and you fix the communication. I think you can easily come out of that
Yeah. And
scenario.
I love how your company will make sure that you're attracting the right patient. I think that's where a lot of dentists get it wrong, right?
Mm-hmm.
We go in and we look at their website and it's like, why are there children everywhere, but you're trying to market implants? Do you know what I mean? Like, make your website your ideal patient. Okay. So, if I'm a diet coach, right, there's a million of them out there. I'm going to give you a meal plan, I'm going to give you exercise plan, this or that. So there's just a million of them out there. But
Mm-hmm.
if I say, I'm going to help middle-aged women lose 2 inches off their waist, and I
Mm-hmm.
focus on your ideal client, you will attract way more if you have a niche or something you specialize in. You may be able to do general dentistry and do everything, but if you
Yeah.
love ortho, or you love dentures, or you love this or that, make sure you're only attracting what you love so you can do more of that. Every dentist
Right.
wants cosmetic cases. But then I go and look at the images on their website and their template teeth with crooked teeth or the midlines off or something's going on. And it's like, how are you going to attract somebody that you want to spend 10 or $20,000? And then on there, it's like, here's a coupon. You can come in for 29 bucks to get your teeth cleaned. Stuff like that. You're
Yeah.
not going to attract a high-end person if you do that.
Exactly. Exactly. So, what's the first move? What should dentists look at on tomorrow's schedule before they touch a single insurance contract?
Well, we want to make sure you're properly scheduled to meet your collection goal, right?
Mm-hmm.
You want to analyze which patients are actually spending more than $1,000 at your office. So if we run,
Mm-hmm.
let's say, a new patient report and we see the list of patients, we see the referral sources, where they come from. You definitely want more than half coming from your own patients, not just
Yeah.
Google or this or that. Uh, but if your patients are only spending between $300 and $1,000, what we do know is you basically clean their teeth, right? You did
Mm-hmm.
what insurance would cover. You did the couple fillings they wanted or whatever. So when I look at a new patient report, I'm looking for somebody who spent $3,000 to $5,000 or more in the past
Mm.
2, 3, 4 months, right? Because they might be a new patient 2 weeks ago. We're not going to see the results right
Yeah.
away. So you want to look at the whole year. You want to go quarter by quarter and look at it and go, okay, what do these patients, the one that spent $5,000, $10,000, what do they have in common? Maybe they're all
Mm.
golfers. Maybe they all wanted implants. But there you will find something that you're naturally good at selling, right? So
Yeah.
naturally attracted these type of people. They might all be at 60 years old, they might be all women, but you need to figure out who is your ideal patient so you only market to that niche. And then that will help you build your schedule better. So
Mm.
run reports on your treatment case acceptance. What is walking out the
Mm-hmm.
door? If you see that a bunch of bridges or crowns or implants are walking out the door, that's what I would focus on learning. How do I
Mm.
communicate in a way that I can schedule more crowns, implants, or whatever you want to schedule? Because if those people are walking out the door, we're saying something wrong. Maybe we're using words like it might break or it's just a tiny decay. Maybe we're
Mm.
minimizing the treatment that we're offering to patients. So usually I like to role play. What would you tell this patient? How are you tying in your medical or what they want? Maybe
Mm-hmm.
we come up with ideas like,
Mm.
let's have them fill out a smile analysis form, right? And
Yeah.
a lot of offices already do that. And then what I ask is, okay, let's review your new patient. What do you know about this patient? And they're like, well, they have Delta insurance or whatever. They give me something that I can just read on the schedule, right? They're 49 years old. They came in for a broken tooth or this or that. But no one's reading the questionnaire where the patient
Mm.
said, I don't like my crooked teeth or this or that. They're basically throwing the credit card right at you and nobody read the form or discussed it with the patient. Now the
Yeah.
patient leaves and they say, Why did I fill out that form? What a waste of time. They
Mm.
didn't even care. I see that a
Exactly.
lot. It's shocking. Like they're actually filling it out, but no one reads the form.
Exactly. I think it's a very important point you just mentioned, and like I think a lot of practices are missing out on. And I think our listeners who are listening into this would like to have a conversation with you and just understand how they can actually build a profitable practice, and and have an open conversation about this. So, if they want to reach out to you, what is the best place that they can reach out to you?
You can find me at coachheidimount.com, my website. There's a booking link in there. You can reserve a call. My email is Heidi at coachingdentist.com. And they can certainly join my Facebook group called Coaching with Heidi Mount. It is free. I
Mhm.
teach on there. I even have an app called
Oh,
Coaching
okay.
Coach Heidi Mount. Sorry, just
All
Coach
right.
Heidi Mount. There's an app they can download, and there's actually some free marketing in there, some free classes they can take. But everything I have to repeat myself to almost all my clients, I decided to put in an app. So it's almost the cheapest form of coaching. And a lot of people are really loving that. I have, hiring right, how to hire people, I have how to make a business plan. So you actually uh, have everything you need to know to run your business. I've got personal development courses. They're really, really inexpensive. So I am here to help whoever. I'm very passionate about what I do and helping dentists relieve that weight off their shoulders. I know that so many are plateaued, they're frustrated, um, they they're overwhelmed, all that good stuff. And I make things really easy. So happy to talk to whoever needs help. And I'm always willing to give a free coaching call.
Of course, Heidi, I know you're doing a lot to the industry, and thank you so much for doing that. And thank you so much for spending your time with us today.
You're very welcome.
So, the core message is very clear. The revenue you need to get off insurance is already in your practice. It's in the unscheduled treatment, it's in the holds on the schedule, it's in every patient who said, I'll wait because nobody on the team knew what to do or say next. You just had to stop the leaks first. So, if you're ready to take action and you want to look at your online visibility and or your marketing, you can schedule a complimentary marketing strategy meeting with Ekwa Marketing at lessinsurancedependence.com/MSM. And if you're looking for mentorship, just like Heidi here said, that if you're looking for coaching and you want support as you build towards an independence practice, you can book a complimentary coaching strategy meeting with Gary at lessinsurancedependence.com/CSM. And we will also have Heidi's link in the show notes with all the other resource materials she just mentioned. So you can always make use of this moment. And you need to plug the leak first, then the freedom follows. So thank you for listening to the Less Insurance Dependence podcast. I'm Lester De Alwis, and I'll see you on the next episode.